Whiskey for the Ages is not sponsored or endorsed for any product or program mentioned in this show and receive no remuneration from their creators.
Hello everybody, a warm welcome back to our Whiskey for the Ages podcast subscribers. I'm your host, Brian Dawson. Tonight, as always, Hannah's here on my left.
Big thank you to those of you who are tuning in for the first time.
And again, Alora's here on my right.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoy the show and consider subscribing to the podcast as well. This will be a fun one.
Subscribing really helps us out. It will help you out as well. First of all, subscribing is free. Subscribers get notified first when episodes are uploaded. Subscribers help move us up in the Google rankings, and higher rankings makes it easier for people to find our show. More listeners will drive future content, and more exposure allows expansion to YouTube. And don't worry, we're never going to spam our subscribers or anyone with unwanted solicitation.
Tonight we've prepared another fun show, episode 4 of season 5.
It's crazy how far we've come, and like in all of our series, we're diving into yet another whiskey proof show.
Our Spotlight series.
Yeah.
Yep. This time we have some proof and some full flavor. We've chosen to feature whiskeys bottled between 111 and 120 proof.
This will be interesting. I do not recommend that people do this when they have their mouths chewed up, because the proof will get to them. So
we're kind of the only people who do
yeah,
that, I think.
Okay, fine. Well, this will be interesting because it's a proof that I can be a little bit iffy about.
But there's one in here that you love, so
Okay.
This is a sweet spot for a lot of whiskeys.
it's kind of an odd range though, especially for regular shelfers. If you go to the store and you're looking for things, it's hard to find something that's 115 or 119 proof.
That's true.
We've lined up 4 different bourbons to explore in this range, each showing what higher proof can do. First things first, let's introduce that opening pour. Maker's Mark Cask Strength Bourbon. Everybody knows Maker's Mark. Well, they offer several others, including this cask strength model. They're out of Laredo, Kentucky, of course. Distillery is Maker's Mark, DSP KY44. Mash bill on this guy, 70% corn, 16% soft red winter wheat, and 14% malt barley.
Which I believe is their mash bill on all of the,
Exactly.
all the Maker's line.
Exactly, unless they're doing something experimental, of course. Barrel char is unpublished, but the barrel entry proof, and we've talked about this one before, 110 proof. It's not going in at the max of 125. It's only going in at 110. They do not publish their age statements here, but it's believed to be somewhere between 5 and 7 years. And the ABV on this particular bottle is 56.1% or 112 proof.
So it's not too bad.
No. Maker's Marks will be varied. They can be bottled anywhere from 108 to 114 proof. MSRP on this guy, really nice at $49.95. Fair price, according to Baxis, formerly Booze App, is $65.34. Market price around the country, $55.70. And we paid $49.95 here in Idaho.
So we matched the MSRP then.
Exactly. Maker's has always been known for its wheated bourbon profile, soft and sweet, but this is where the brand really starts to flex a little bit. Let's start. Girls, tell me, what are you guys getting on the nose?
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. I'd say vanilla is one of the aromas I'm getting.
There's some
then
caramel.
There is some caramel. And I'm getting even a little bit of maple syrup and perhaps maybe some kind of a cobbler sort of element.
Ooh.
Okay, I can get that.
I can't identify the fruit yet. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe an apple cobbler?
no, I'm leaning actually
Cherry.
more towards cherry, yeah.
Well, I can see that too.
Part of that is a little bit influenced already, though. This one, listeners, if you haven't gathered already or haven't heard us talk about Makers products in other episodes, we like Makers over here. We don't snub our nose at that red wax at all. We enjoy it quite a lot. And this particular one, we already know we're going to like this one.
Yeah.
This one's a favorite.
It's been in our bunker numerous times before. We've had open bottles. I did go out and get this one fresh because, frankly, I didn't have one. And now I'm glad we have another open bottle.
But the proof isn't offensive on the nose here at all.
Not
It's
at
very,
all.
very approachable, easy. You've got to be sticking your nose deep into the glass if you're actually going to get a bite out of it at all.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a little bit before too. When you nose, try doing it with your mouth open.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that'll help bring the aromas to the back of the palate. It's kind of an interesting trick.
I think that when you do that, your olfactories and your taste buds are working together because they
Yeah.
already work together when you're eating something.
Yeah.
That's a large reason why you're able to taste anything is because both the receptors in your nose and in your mouth are working together to get you those flavors.
So why do distillers bottle here? Well, some of times it's tradition. Distillers often bottle to preserve flavor concentration while still making an approachable whiskey. Now think about it. This went into the barrel at 110 proof. It's coming out of the barrel into the bottle at 112 proof. So they didn't have to do much at all to this. Just let the whiskey breathe, let it grow. This proof range can showcase some wood, some spices, some grain, and as Hannah had noted, some fruit. Historically, 100 proof bottle and bond whiskey was the standard of quality, but some brands began to build on these traditions with a little bit higher proof releases. Frankly, echoing what was going on during Prohibition or even pre-Prohibition to a degree. Many distillers are using this range for their flagship or limited offerings. Consumers are finding the range a sweet spot for the bold flavor, and without need of going much over that 120 proof, this is going to give you some heat.
Is it recommended for a lot of distilleries to bottle things at around that 110 so that way it can either go like high proof or lower proof?
It can. A lot of times people are bottling at 90 proof
Yeah.
simply to make the whiskey go further. They're able to take it, water it down a little bit, still fine whiskey, but they're able to get more out of each barrel. Here, because they're literally barreling it at barrel strength, it's not going to go as far. So Makers is a perfect example. The distillery has taken their gentle weeded profile. If I'm not mistaken, we had some of that in our last episode.
Yeah.
And this time they're bottling it cask strength, letting it shine with some additional heat. So what about this Makers cask? Hannah, you've taken a sip or two. What do you think?
It definitely is a graduation from their standard run-of-the-mill Maker's Mark, where that one is very sweet, very weedy, very easy. This one does feel more complex. There's more oiliness to it. There's more texture to it at the same time. You get a little bit higher introduction of fruit here. Everything does feel a little bit warmer, but it doesn't feel overpowering at all. It's a warmth that just kind of sits at the top of the chest, and it's really nice. It's really nice. Do I think it's the most complex out of, all of the varieties in this proof range? Probably not. But when you're looking for something that's a little warm, a little fruity, a little sweet, I still get the caramel, I still get the vanilla. This is just right there.
You're right. The flavors mimic the nose.
Yeah.
This is just a glove and glove. I mean,
Which I love when that happens. That's an important feature of any whiskey to me, is when I can see the story move from the nose to the palate and not be dragged into a different book.
So Laura, what are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking that I agree with Hannah and you in that a lot of the flavors in here are mimicking what was on the nose. I'd go further and say that I do get that wheat bread element. I also, dare I say, get a little bit of some kind of char or
There
some
is
kind
char
of
here.
smoke here.
There is char.
And I think it just helps it ground it just a
Yeah.
little bit.
It gives that texture that I
Yeah.
was talking about.
Yeah. As far as the finish goes for me, I feel it more than I taste it.
I get that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's cherries on the finish too.
Yeah. Cherries and vanilla.
Like when you really
And the little-
force the finish to the front of the palate, that's when those cherries kind of come in.
I
You
would
almost
love
have
to-
to suction the air off and pocket it in right behind the top front teeth.
I would love to have it with a cobbler.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that'd be good.
A cherry cobbler, anyone? Who's making cherry cobbler next? We have a baker here. I like this one. I like what it's doing. In the finish, I think that oakiness, that char hits the back of the palate.
Yeah, because it's pretty bitter, and bitter notes are more focused in the
Yeah.
back of the tongue.
And that's nice on that warming notes and in that finish. I like that. I like that. So here's a question for both of you. Would you pour this for someone who thinks wheated bourbons are always soft?
I would.
I'd pour
I
this
mean,
for anybody.
Yeah, it's a Maker's Mark, and we don't diss on Maker's Mark. It's a really, really good brand. Honestly, I think it has more to offer than just what someone would think is a simple wheated bourbon that they think is soft. This one has that char. It has fruit. It has some spices in it. I think in terms of like wheated bourbon, I'd be happy to pour this.
I'd almost like to pour this for somebody in a blind.
Yeah,
Where would they think it might be?
I think
I'd
I
put
would.
it in the Heaven Hill funk.
I think I would turn this question around a little bit though, and maybe not aim pouring this for somebody who thinks that wheated bourbons are always soft. I think on par with this particular episode, I would pour this for somebody who's afraid of proof.
Oh,
Because
Absolutely.
this is not aggressive
No.
at all. It's warm. It's warmer than the standard Maker's Mark, but it's not going to knock you over. It's very approachable.
You certainly would not want to chug it.
No,
Because
well, don't do that
don't
anyway.
do it. Don't do that with any sort of whiskeys, honestly. It's a bad decision. Dad's cousin did that. And I can't remember with which one.
it was a high proof Elijah Craig barrel proof. and
Yeah, that's
he
like
didn't
the
talk
worst.
for 25 minutes. Now, if Maker's Mark shows us softness at strength, our second pour takes us to a crowd favorite. It's bold, it's rich, and almost always in demand.
Especially at our house.
We love this one. Was thrilled to go up into the bunker and find one just sitting there waiting to be opened. Thank you, Laura. Old Forester Prohibition Style 1920 bourbon.
Oh, I'd say that one's my favorite.
Straight
Like,
bourbon.
Straight through, yep.
It's in the top 5 always.
Yep.
We have to have it. It's ubiquitous.
Region is Shively, Kentucky. Company's Brown Forman. Distillery is the Old Forester Distillery, Brown Forman Distillers. DSP K414. Our mash bill on this guy, 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malt barley. So we're switching out the wheat for the rye
Yeah.
and amping it a little bit.
Yeah, but pretty comparable.
Yep. Barrel char here is number 4 with a barrel entry proof at 125. So we've changed the scope of what's going on. Again, no age statement here. ABV of 57.5%, 115 proof. MSRP, we bumping it up about $10 at $59.99. Fair price around the country is $59.74. Market price $60.99. Man, it's right in that range. It is a super value. We pay about $59.95 here in Idaho as well.
And seriously, it's such a steal, honestly. Like, this one, I love it so much that even in my poorest of college days, and granted, I was poor in college days, I still would have found some way to splurge on this. Because it is just that good.
Well, we brought a little home.
I know.
You
I know.
You had it in your bunker.
I didn't have much of it left.
That's true.
But we brought some home.
And polished off the bottle real quick once you did get home.
So, what are we getting on the nose? Laura, what do you think?
I
to
am
us.
getting toasted marshmallows. I'm getting vanilla. I'm getting some butterscotchy notes. It's just all around so good.
Pleasant bourbon
Yeah.
smells.
Yeah. Like, have this at a campfire. You'll be very, very happy.
Have it with s'mores.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is one of those rare ones where we've reviewed, I don't know how many whiskeys now, and there's plenty that we've reviewed that haven't been published in the blog. Every one of my reviews features a setting. This one is one I will always remember the setting for, because it just hits me every single time. I want to be outside at around dusk underneath a gazebo with lights and just hanging out with friends. Like this one is just a peaceful bourbon. As far as smell goes though, I actually get a lot more floral notes on this one. It doesn't hit quite as deep in flavor as the Maker's Mark. And I say in flavor on purpose because as a whole, the warmth is deeper for the Old Forester. There's a lot of richness here. I can still get the fruit, cherries galore. There's some vanilla, there's some cakey elements, but these really are the pinnacle of your classic bourbon smells. There's a little bit of oak. There's just everything that you could want in a bourbon nose, you're gonna get out of Old Forester 1920.
It's that Old Forester funk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get a little bit more alcohol too.
Oh, yes.
Like there's the more than you did in the Maker's Mark. There's that twinge there, and it's an exciting twinge.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of difference here in ABV. We're at
115.
115
So-
proof versus the 112.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hardly worth noting. Yet when you put it to your nose, you get the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's here.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention is if you try smelling this with your mouth open versus with your mouth closed, you're going to get a very different sort of palate. I think when I have my mouth open, I get a lot of sweeter notes. I get those sugary ones. I get very sweet fruits. But when my mouth is closed, I start smelling the wood. Like the wood is very upfront with it.
I get that. I get that.
So try both ways. I mean, no way of nosing a whiskey is wrong.
Although it's gonna hurt more if you leave your mouth closed, just so you know.
It will, but just try it. Just so that you know, because some whiskeys you're going to have that burn, others you won't.
So let's get back to our proof story. Consumer demand, preference, and versatility. Why people reach for this range? Well, at 111 to 120 proof, it's a sweet spot in that flavor and drinkability. Remember, we talked a little bit about barrel entry proof. Mm-hmm. The range delivers warmth, flavor, and a nice mouthfeel. Hannah, you noted that right away on that Maker's Mark. It's more oily. It's strong enough to sip neat, but with a backbone, it works well in cocktails. Higher proof can signal more craftsmanship, quality, and exclusivity without requiring full cask strength commitment. I find that kind of an odd statement to say it that way. Most people, when they're thinking cask strength, they're thinking hazmat. They're thinking 130, 125,
But it doesn't
whatever.
have to be. The Maker's Mark we have here tonight is
Cast strength
is
at 112.
Cast strength. Yeah.
Exactly. This proof band can attract both enthusiasts looking for some depth and some new consumers who are curious about the higher proof whiskey. I'm going to tell you, this Old Forester 1920 was my gateway bourbon.
I think it was that for all three of
Yeah,
us.
it definitely was for me, especially.
It opened my eyes to where I was ready for high proof. These bourbons, and frankly others in this range, often find them to be a household favorite. Certainly household favorite in ours, because they hit the sweet spot of flavor, versatility, and yeah, they're fairly priced. The Old Forester 1920 is one of the best selling bottles in the Old Forester Whiskey Row series. Each bottle represents an event in the Brown-Forman Old Forester heritage. The 1870 is their original batch. It celebrates Brown-Forman's founding year and bourbon heritage. The 1897 Bottle and Bond highlights the company's adherence to the Bottle and Bond standards. The 1910 Old Fine Whiskey pays homage to pre-Prohibition flavor profiles and some double barreling. Here, this 1920 Prohibition style honors the medicinal whiskey at the height of the Prohibition era boldness. Now, keep in mind there were, 7 different companies that were granted medicinal whiskey licenses, Brown-Forman being one of them, and they were able to make bourbons throughout that time.
This is only
This is a relatively new
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
but they were making it at or around these proofs.
And certainly they would have been everywhere in the speakeasies.
Absolutely. Or you could go to the drugstore and get yourself your daily ration.
Oh, yeah.
And then most recently, their 1924 single barrel showcases single barrel craftsmanship. So what about this 1920? Is it like you guys remember?
It's always, this one is a steady horse. I'll never be surprised by it. It's like coming back to an old friend every time. Cherries galore, sweet, rich, depth.
Deep caramel.
Yeah, deep caramel, deep vanilla. And the cherries are so good. You get the oak in there with the char, so everything feels like a big warm hug in that glass. And maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the finish, I can put this one down and just sit with the finish for so long and just feel so good and so happy. And this one just ticks all of the boxes for me. The proof is right. I wouldn't do anything at all to that 115.
Now, we talked about the funk here. Yes, you get the fruit. But for me, the fruit gets surpassed by the depth of darkness. Can I say that?
Yeah.
The dark vanilla. There's almost a chocolatiness to it. Maybe even a chocolatiness with a little coconut mixed in. It's not nutty per se, but it's got something there on the back of the palate. The dark sugars. I'm not going to say they're burnt, but they are that brown sugar caramel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's almost a toffiness to this. And like you say, there's that woodiness. Not only char, but wood.
Yeah.
You
It's
get-
inviting.
This is just heaven in a glass.
It really is.
I also get, Dad, you mentioned that there's not really much of a nuttiness. I'm going to disagree with you. I kind of think that there is like a buttered pecan element to this.
Maybe in that toffee.
And maybe it's sprinkled in cinnamon sugar or something like that. Something on the darker side of notes. When we say darker, usually we're thinking maybe darker stone fruits, like plums, or we're thinking of things that are cooking, like burnt caramel or toffee. Those are cooked. When we say lighter notes, we're probably thinking maybe more floral, maybe a bit white, caramel, sugary, more bright.
Yeah, I get that.
This is
Spices
just
are
very
here,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm getting that darkness, the dark spices.
But it's
Yeah.
not affronting at
Oh,
all.
no, no, no,
It's
no.
it's
No.
almost like a white pepper as opposed to anything genuinely spicy.
Yeah.
It just gives it a lift.
I'd say in terms of spicy, we're getting close to the season of autumn. I'm always happy to have this particular bourbon in autumn because I'm reminded of all the pumpkin spice. You have your cinnamon, you have your nutmeg, you have your cloves. Give me those spices in some kind of food or in a coffee blend. I am a very happy camper. And same thing goes for when I have one of these. It's just a really, really good one to have. It sits nicely in the chest. It doesn't burn. It doesn't only centralize itself in the top chest. It just goes. It just flows.
It just warms the whole upper
Yeah.
body. Yep. Now we said this is our gateway bourbon. For sure it's our gateway bourbon. Would you send new consumers to this if they're asking for high proof?
I have. I did. I do.
You have all the tenses there.
All of the tenses, and I will. All of them. And every time I've done it, everybody's gone, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
What is
And
so amazing, it's always on the
it's
shelf.
always available. I mean, one of my really good friends, he's really getting into bourbon, really into whiskey in general, and I got him a bottle of this. And I knew he'd love it. And as soon as he had a pour of it, he's had it with him since. Like, he comes back for this one over and over.
It's so easy to find too. Like, I go to any sort of liquor store, no matter where I am, up in Montana where I went to school, over in Pocatello, or somewhere in Idaho. It is on the shelf. It's even on the shelf and out in the Midwest where our other family is. So
It's just a mainstay.
it's really ubiquitous here.
2 pours in, wheat showing strength, and now a proven crowd pleaser. For our 3rd pour, we're going to go to a bourbon that flies under the radar. Old Ezra Barrel Strength Bourbon. It's a small batch out of Bardstown, Kentucky, made by Lux Row Distillers, DSP KY 20044. Mash bill is unpublished. Barrel char, unpublished. Barrel entry proof, unpublished. But we know this one's 7 years old because it says so on the bottle.
It's really just a mystery, isn't it?
Yep.
That's pretty common for Lux Row products. Lux Row and MGP in general.
Here, the ABV is 58.5% or 117 proof. We're kind of stepping up the ladder a little bit. MSRP, $89.99, so we're jumping up quite a bit in price.
Yeah, we are.
It
Fair-
didn't used to be that price.
No.
I remember when it was like probably about the same amount as that Old Forester, hovering at $60.
Yep.
This would have been back in the days when you regularly had Blanton's on your shelf, huh?
It would have been. It was that time.
Yeah. Fair price, 106. Market price is $79.99. Here in Idaho, we're getting it for $79.99. We're a little bit under the MSRP. I hope it stays there. This is just a stellar bourbon.
I hope so. It's at that price, and I'm raising my eyebrows a little bit at it because I'm thinking,
Yeah, I'm not
I don't
sure
know.
Laura's had much experience with this Old Ezra.
Not
This
that I
one
can remember.
doesn't get the attention that it deserves, frankly. And when I was working in the liquor stores, whenever we had this one around on the shelves, it was something that I would steer people towards if they were looking for something a little bit unique and didn't really know where to turn. Everybody would snub their nose at this one because it's an MGP product, a Lux Row product. It doesn't have that air of legacy like some of the other lineups do.
Stop doing that, people.
Stop doing that. Believe it or not, that was something that I've said many a time to Dad here as well. MGP products have a lot of good stuff to offer. This Old Ezra definitely falls in that category, 100%. Laura, what are you getting on the nose on this one? Again, I'm not sure you've had this one or played with this one much.
I can't recall that I ever have either. I certainly didn't have it in my miniature bunker when I was in grad school. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how I feel on the nose. It's pretty nutty and it's pretty salty. I could see people who like peanut butter really fall in love with this.
Maybe that's why we like it so much.
And
could
I'm
be.
not fond of peanut butter whatsoever.
That's
So,
interesting.
Yeah, so
I didn't
this is
think
gonna be
about it that way,
interesting.
but Yeah, I get the peanut funk a little bit.
Yeah, there's some peanut there.
I also get that
Brininess.
brininess.
Yeah.
I would say if this had any sort of sweet note, I'm going to say like salted caramel.
Okay.
Salted caramel.
Yeah, I get
or
that too.
salted toffee, because I do get that brininess. And it's not like, kosher table salt. It's your salt that you sprinkle on fine desserts.
Yeah.
That kind of quality.
Crystal salt.
Crystal
almost.
salt.
This one, the wood comes forward pretty strong on it as well. And I think there's a rye bread element to it too. It's the most savory out of the bunch that we've had so far.
This is savory.
This would be, I think, very, very nice with one of Dad's pastrami sandwiches.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would. Oh, I just salivated quite a lot. That would be very
Dad
good.
and I have collaborated a couple of times whenever he's made pastrami sandwiches. I'll make a rye bread. Dad will make his pastrami and
This
Swiss
would
cheese.
go so right with that.
Yeah, and it's a salty goodness. And we reserve a whole day of it because it takes an entire day to make.
You guys think this smells older than 7 years?
I don't know how long we've had it in our bunker. So.
No.
It's a newer addition. I think 7 years feels about right to me, although I do think there's almost a mustiness to this.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not an off-putting mustiness to me.
Almost old bookish.
Yeah, old bookish.
I can see that. Booker's, for me, tends to have a nutty or peanut butter-like funk to it, and I can see this.
This is not as sweet as a Booker's, though.
At least not on the nose.
It smells earthy.
It smells earthy. It smells really unique.
I'd be curious to
And the-
see how it would go with jam.
And the proof still isn't punchy.
No,
Not
it's
on
not.
the nose at all.
This one might actually be, despite being 117 proof, this one might be the gentlest nose as far as alcohol goes.
Of the three?
Of the three that we've had.
The Maker's
will-
Mark's pretty soft.
Maker's
I'm
Mark's pretty
able-
soft, but I think this one might be a little bit softer. But then again, it could be because we just moved from Old Forester 1920,
Could
and
be.
that one is very spicy. She's got personality.
I can stick my entire nose in this glass and not have a problem with taking a long sniff. I don't know how people who are less experienced with higher proof would be if they tried to do that. Maybe it would singe all their nose hairs. I don't know, but for me it's fine. And I've got a sensitivity to higher proof stuff.
So back to our story here on the barrel influence, entry proof, flavor profiles, mouthfeel, sensory qualities. Barrel entry proof dictates how flavors are going to evolve. Lower entry proofs may emphasize fruit and vanilla, kind of like that Maker's Mark. Fruit and floral esters can still survive without being burned or buried. Caramelized sugars and vanilla compounds typically pop. At higher barrel entry proofs, they tend to enhance the oak or spice. They grab it more. Maybe this Old Ezra is going in at a higher proof. I suspect it is.
Yeah.
Spices and tannins from the oak become more evident. We were getting more spice, more oak. 111 to 120 proof bottlings can showcase the influence of the clean oak. And we were saying, okay, I'm getting a woodiness here.
Yeah.
Here, whiskeys often deliver texture and richness without an overwhelming burn. They tend to highlight layers, sweet and spicy, toasted, roasted, without overwhelming the nose or the palate. With moderate to long aging, it begins to balance heat with some mellowing, allowing nuanced flavors to balance with the aromatics. Bottlings at this proof often provide a rounder, richer mouthfeel compared to lower proof bottlings, and they can kind of give a sensation of weight on the palate. At this proof range, the barrel influence really shines. And at around 7 years in the oak, like this one we're drinking right now, tannins and lignans and spice compounds dissolve in the spirit. And at this proof, they can start to come across very clearly. So what about this Old Ezra? Both of you have had some chance to take a sip or two?
I think everything that you said there about the mouthfeel, about the wood coming in much stronger, the texture being influenced so greatly, that's a really dominant feature of this Old Ezra. This, when you drink it, the mouthfeel is what you imagine a bourbon mouthfeel should be like. The taste, I don't know if it's the most complex. I think Old Forester probably has the palette of flavor profile beat here, but there's breadiness on this. There's that nutty element we were already talking about. The woodiness is almost caramelized. This is very rich. This feels a lot older. This feels really mature. If you could picture your great-grandpa drinking a bourbon, this would be something that your great-grandpa would like. It just screams maturity, and I love it for that. It's a different story from the makers and the Old Forester by a mile. It's such a different story, but it's still a really important one.
I'm going to rip a page out of your book, Alora. I'm going to quote Simon and Garfunkel. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, that fits here.
This is my first sip. Straight up oakiness.
Yeah.
Just right there in the palate, but not so much that it's punching in the face. And then as it's gone, it just dissolves into sweet, dark sugar. And then the vanilla slides in, maybe hidden from everything else.
Yeah.
And then the spices, the white pepper, maybe even a little clove in there. Oh, I like this.
It is dark. This is dark.
When I first smelled this, which could very well have been in the middle of this episode, I was saying, I don't know about this one. Now that I'm tasting it, I don't taste exactly what I'm smelling. I get a lot more sweeter notes. I get caramel. I get that oakiness. I'm reminded of the fudge that we get whenever we visit family out in the Midwest. There's a little place that has homemade fudge, and I really, really like to get those salted caramel
The salted caramel
fudges.
fudge. This
That would be stellar with this. I mean,
They would heighten each other for sure.
yeah, it's the
That
perfect
should be the next pairing episode.
yes.
fudge.
Fudge.
Where are we going to find fudge?
Oh,
We'll find fudge. Somewhere we'll find fudge.
There will be plenty of fudge jokes in that episode. And honestly, guys, yeah, I'm getting darkness, but there's brightness in here too. I'm getting butter. I'm getting brininess. Those to me are a bit lighter. I'm getting sugar, like table sugar too.
There's even a hazelnuttiness. And it's creamy.
I guess.
There's
I'm not really getting hazelnut. I'm getting more
get it.
pecans.
I get
And more
hazelnut.
peanuts.
I get hazelnut
getting
and
walnut.
walnut.
Walnut, there's a bitterness to walnuts.
These two like nuts a lot more than I do, so
We
they're
have more
probably,
experience.
Yeah.
We're nuts.
We are nuts. We're nutty, nutters, nuts.
I like the finish here too because it mimics what I was tasting.
What are you getting
Yeah.
on the finish, Dad?
Oh, most
Oak.
definitely oak.
Oak.
I feel
And
as
then
though
oak.
as though I open my mouth and oak is all I
Yeah.
feel it going in, I feel it going out.
But it's
I
great.
almost feel like I want to take some dark caramel and stick a piece of oak in it and then just lick the caramel off the oak.
Yeah, I think that would be this.
We're talking so much about food pairings with this particular bourbon. I'd be very intrigued if we did like a whole pairing thing on this.
Absolutely.
I'd be
This
very
is-
intrigued. We could do savory like the pastrami sandwiches. I still think that those would be really good because the sweet notes would blend in with the rye bread. The saltiness would blend in well with the pastrami. And then the fudge. We gotta have the fudge.
Got that fudge. Okay, we've seen some subtle wheat, a bold favorite, our Old Forester, then a sleeper with an oak-driven complexity, and for our last pour, right at the top of the proof band, A benchmark bottle. Let's bring in that closing pour. Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve Bourbon.
Aside from the Old Ezra, all four of these are pretty accessible. Even the Old Ezra, it might come in and out of availability, but for the most part, you can find these guys.
So the category here, Kentucky Straight Single Barrel Bourbon, Jim Beam Distillery here in the United States. 77% corn, 13% rye, 10% malt barley. Barrel char is a number 4, barrel entry proof 125. Right on the label, 9 years old, looking right at the bottle right now. ABV 60% or 120 proof. MSRP $55.99 around the country, $56.82. Some people are paying $62 for it. Here in Idaho, this one is at $65. And
So cheaper than the Old Ezra.
cheaper than the Old Ezra.
But you can get all four of these under $100.
Absolutely.
Which is impressive.
Very impressive for the
Yep.
proof point that we're looking at today.
Typically with higher proofs, at least from what I see, are gonna get a higher price for those higher proof
Usually.
ones. And maybe I'm not right on all of them, but it's just a trend that I see whenever I go into the liquor store.
So Knob Creek Single Barrel Bourbon. It's always bottled at 120 proof. It's a flagship for Jim Beam. Jim Beam and their Knob Creek, they experiment a little bit. Yeah, they've got some 12-year, they've got some toasted oak, they've got their regular, but the single barrels are always 120 proof. Occasionally, you'll see some single barrel store picks. Again,
Get them.
get them.
Get them.
Just go
Just
get
buy
them.
them.
You know,
Just buy them.
It doesn't matter if they're bourbon. It doesn't matter if they're rye. Just get them. What are you getting on the nose on this one?
I'm gonna let you two go first because I was cleansing my palate with water. It's very recommended, or at least I recommend it, that you have some water in between pours if you're gonna do multiple tastings. It helps recalibrate your taste buds. It also just helps you prepare if you're gonna get a higher proof, which I was subconsciously preparing myself for.
This one has the highest spice flavor profile out of the four. There's a higher predominance of some black pepper here. There's white pepper as well, a little bit of allspice and clove. This is a deep flavor though too, like the Old Ezra was. The oak is very dominant. There's some nuttiness going on here, which is classic for Beam products in general. It's a very intriguing nose, and I don't know if I want to say it's the most mature out of our four. I think I still might give that designation to Old Ezra, but this one has an air about it that's very confident. If I could give it a personality quirk, this one's confident. This one is a swashbuckling. It's got swag.
There's ethanol
Like
here.
Captain
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow.
Maybe a little bit, although we'd have to get some rum. We'd have to pull your rum out to have that conversation.
Good rum.
The ethanol's hit.
Yeah,
It says, I'm here. You're going to deal with me.
yeah.
Certainly respect me for
Yeah.
my proof.
Yeah. Of the three we've had so far, I've not sipped it, but I'm just nosing it. Most definitely something's going on here.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, I'm getting a lot of stone fruit. I'm getting plums. I'm still getting a little bit of that brininess. Hannah, you mentioned allspice and cloves. I get that too.
Yeah.
I get a lot more spiciness, and maybe to me that's more of a Knob Creek sort of funk.
Yeah, the Jim Beam
Jim
in
Beam.
general.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just I get more spices, which is completely fine. Like I love spicy stuff. So.
This is most definitely spicy. I think I'm getting more rye here.
Yeah.
There's only 13% rye in that mash bill, but it's asserting itself.
Everything is asserting itself with this.
Well, I think it's because the rye percentage is really close to the malt barley percentage. So the two of them, I think, are actually working in conjunction. And it's elevating the rye flavor because the malt is right there to back up the rye. The two are very hand in hand.
Most definitely. There's sweetness here too, but it's dark sweet.
Like Laura was mentioning with the
Yep.
plum.
Yep.
Yeah, stone fruits.
Maybe even a little bit of dried fruits, prunes, raisins.
Would you say this is the most complex of our four?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we're going
I would say so.
down a list.
Would you say it's the most mature of our four? Because I think that yes, it's the most complex, but I don't think it's the most
It's
mature.
hard to say. I mean, I made the
I think
comment
there's a
about the old
distinction.
Ezra that it seems to me it's older than its 7 years stayed on the bottle.
I certainly think it's got more personality than these other three. Not to say that they don't have personality, but the way that this is asserting itself, it has that ethanol. It is saying, respect me for my proof.
Sip easy.
Yeah.
Sip easy.
Sip easy.
Always drink responsibly. Always do. This one, I'd be tempted to go a little bit more slow because
Sip it.
Yeah.
sip it.
Exactly.
And I feel like I could risk getting a Kentucky hug.
I think
with it.
this one, even though I love the Old Forester, and I know I've had all four of these before. I know Old Forester is my favorite out of the four. This one is probably my favorite nose. Like this
That's
one,
doing a lot.
I can just
Yeah.
sit here with the nose and be a happy camper all day.
That's true. I could say that too.
So let's finish up this 111 to 120 proof discussion. We're going to talk a little chemistry, some challenges for the distillers, some financial considerations, and maybe even the future of the range. At 111 to 120 proof, Maillard reactions in the barrel are happening. There's some ester formation. Some wood lipid extraction begins to get optimized. It produces richer color, aroma, and flavor compounds.
Maybe a little bit of carbonation too.
Effervescence, yeah. There's really no carbonation per se, but I get that effervescence. The high proof brings complexity. Congeners, they're chemical compounds other than the ethanol. They get produced during the fermentation and they contribute to the flavor, the aroma, and the mouthfeel. They produce notes like fruit, spice, floral, and sometimes even the heat. The lignans, structural polymers in the wood, which, when broken down during toasting or charring, release that aromatic compound vanillin, which is responsible for the vanilla notes. They provide that sweet vanilla and the smoky notes, and they're essential to the characteristic oakiness that you're going to get in bourbons. The wood sugars, the cellulose, the humuscellulose, breaking down in the products. Sugars in the wood get caramelized during the barrel toasting and the charring.
We were talking about that with the Old Ezra for sure.
Yep.
That really tasted like caramelized oak.
Yeah, it's caramel. I mean, you burn the sugars. You're
Yeah.
burning the structures that make up all of these
And the
compounds.
and the wood sugars contribute to the caramel, the toffee, the brown sugar flavors we always talk about. These sugars are also interacting with the alcohol and the congeners, enhancing the smoothness and the mouthfeel. But distillers must manage those fusel alcohols because too much extraction builds harshness in the spirit. Bottling at this higher proof yields fewer bottles to the barrel. So if you're doing a single barrel like this one, you're putting it out at 120 proof, you might only get 175 bottles in the barrel or less, depending on how much evaporation has gone out. Keep in mind, this sat in the barrel for 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of seasons.
55 gallons went in, 55 gallons are not coming out.
No.
Barrel consistency, rickhouse placement, and water addition are critical. Small miscalculations will certainly impact the flavor, the mouthfeel, and, frankly, marketability. As far as the future of this 111 to 120 proof, it's likely to grow and will continue to happen in this band due to the consumer preference for flavor-driven, approachable bourbons. Distillers may innovate with custom mash bills, targeted aging, and single barrel releases to help meet the demand. My suspicion with the way the world's going and the way whiskey in general is kind of going, hey, we're not buying as much anymore. We may see more in this range because it's going to sit on the shelf for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That's true. I never even thought of that.
At this proof, distillers are walking a tightrope. As more congeners and wood sugars dissolve, depth and the richness gets created, but it can turn bitter if too much is left. So Knob Creek, they've demonstrated how to strike this balance. Financially, bottling at the higher proof means fewer bottles are coming out of the barrel. But Beam has turned this brand into a flagship. Their consumers are willing to pay a little bit more for the strength and the consistency. So what about this Knob Creek? What are you guys thinking about this palate?
Well, striking a balance is, I think, the first thing that I really think about with this Knob Creek, because we talked about those congeners and those lignans being right there and on the verge of turning the bourbon to be too bitter. This is almost at that
It's
cusp
at the edge.
of becoming a bit too bitter, but it's not. The oakiness is so strong in this one. The proof is definitely much more dominant here than it was in the other ones, and you feel that warmth very prominently. The spices from the nose, they carry on into the palate as well. You get those peppery notes, you get the clove still, allspice notes. I suppose there's still a little bit of sweetness here. I'd probably refer back to that caramelized oakiness from before, but it's a lot harsher than it was for the old Ezra. This one is one that I would say, okay, now you think you're ready to get into the high proofs? Let's start here, because this one is going to be the one that's going to open a lot of doors. Not to mention that Jim Beam, a lot of their stuff is done at the high proofs.
It is.
So if you want to get into that field, start here. This is the gateway into the big boys.
I completely agree with that. Dad, you hearken back to maturity with this. I'd say for this one, I do get that maturity. It's saying I'm still very upfront with how much alcohol, how much ethanol I have. It's something I would want to drink a little bit more slowly. And then both of you mentioned that it's almost at that too bitter moment. And when I drink this, I'm reminded of semi-sweet dark chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Because they're also almost at that point of being too bitter. Or like coffee beans.
Yeah.
Like this would be very, very nice to have with those.
Have this with like a coffee cake.
Oh. But the thing is, you know, the way I make coffee cake is not the way a lot of people make coffee cake, because I see what other people do for coffee cake and I'm like, they're not including coffee in this, so why are you calling it coffee cake?
You have it with coffee.
I know, and I don't understand that. Because when I make it, I put literal coffee beans into it. I'm like,
wow,
we need coffee in this. If you're gonna call it coffee cake, it needs to have some sort of coffee. I'm also one of those people that whenever I do anything chocolatey, when I'm baking with it, I'll put in a little bit of coffee into it, because coffee just elevates the extra sweetness. It's all a balance.
I get that.
That's why you
And
guys
you
like
said
my
balance?
Bailey's Irish cream cupcakes.
Yeah. You said balance. Both of you said balance.
Yeah.
This is super balanced.
Yeah, I
It
think
is.
so, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a balance that's cheeky. Like the personality of it is still that swashbuckling, swagger, confident that I was mentioning on the nose. It's like, oh, you think that I'm about to go off the edge and go too far on the bitter notes, but I know what I'm doing, and no, I'm not. I'm right there.
I don't know if I'd say swashbuckling so much as I would say like an upfront business person, honestly. Like this person is coming in with that confidence.
There's a lot of confidence.
There's
here.
a lot of confidence, but I think it's like a swagger. Like this
can
bourbon has swagger.
Okay, there's a pirate swagger, and then there is a businessman swagger.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that though, because the other setting that I do always remember when I'm doing reviews is for the Maker's Mark cask strength, which we had first here. That one, the setting is a boardroom. And it's the one that you'd have if you're trying to make a point and show, no, I know what I'm talking about,
And
don't
that's
mess.
this.
But
That is this, because if you have a pirate swagger, you're thinking like, I'm just gonna jump into this situation, we're gonna do the things, and I hope for the best. But when you have a business boardroom marketplace, you're like, I know my facts, I researched this.
But I don't think this one does.
So
I think
I'm gonna
I
just
think
throw
it's
this
just
out there.
I think it does here. I'm gonna disagree with you.
I'm going to tell you that to a degree, I agree with you, Hannah. Okay? You've got your maker's mark, you're in the boardroom. It has presented the ideas.
But
Okay?
that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
it has presented the ideas. Old Forester comes in. Nah, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. And then all of a sudden, you got a little bit of old Ezra thinking, well, back in the day, this is the way we used to do things.
Yeah.
That is a total. Like,
And then you've got Knob Creek. I don't care what you guys say. This is the way we're going to do it.
I think that Knob Creek would be the one to say that's a really boring idea. Let's do it this way.
Maybe so.
I definitely agree with what you're saying about old Ezra. The old Ezra.
Yeah,
would be
old
like
Ezra.
full
Back
on,
in my day.
Back in my day, days were days. I trudged up the mountain to get to school. Both ways.
Both ways. Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting. I mean, like, doing that little comparison and the metaphor there was a lot of fun. But I think when you really think about it, that whole comparison heightens the fact that you can have this range and so much versatility in it.
It's incredible.
All of them have different personalities.
None of these are the same.
No, none of them
they are all telling a different story. These are all coming from 4 different distilleries. They are out there. They are saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm contributing to this proof range. And all of them are contributing something incredibly valid to it. Whether it's, I'm the introduction to that high proof world, or I'm not the high proof that you're afraid of. You should come say hello. We're not that scary. Or, you know what? Let's go. This is age. This is maturity. You have so much that this proof range is offering you that I just don't think is replicated in any other proof range to this degree. Mm-hmm. Even when we get into the 120 plus proof, this range, they're the most fun.
I think so,
This
yeah.
personality group, they're the most entertaining.
They're the life of the party.
They're the life of the party, regardless of if they're an introvert like Maker's Mark or if they're the extrovert like Knob Creek. They are ready to show who they are.
If you have like the whole like Myers-Briggs, like 16 personalities,
all
you have
16 would fit
Yeah,
in this range.
yeah.
And
I would say like the Knob Creek is like the ENTJ of the bunch. It's the extroverted thinking, intuitive, and judging sort of personality type.
This is a fun group. This is a fun range. I had no idea when I was putting this together how these 4 would work together.
Oh, I'm so happy about that. And may I just say, I'm very happy about the order that you selected.
Well,
with
we
this.
graduated up in proof.
We
Yes.
graduated, but then also the flavor profiles transitioned quite well with one another.
They
The Maker's Mark was more fruity. The Old Forester was getting to be a little bit more nutty, but I had some of that fruit. Old Ezra had nutty notes on the aroma, and it ended up being a bit more on the brinier side of things. And then Knob Creek comes in and it's just like, well, let's just wrap everything up in a pretty little bow. I'm going to hint back to what we had in the Maker's Mark, in the Old Forester, in the Old Ezra. It's a cyclical symphony in a way.
It built.
It built.
This whole group built. Have you guys learned anything?
I certainly did. Yeah.
I love high proof product. And when I say high proof, I'm meaning that 120 plus range, which very well could be the next spotlight in whiskey proof episode that we do next season. Just saying. But I think the most entertaining proof range really is this one. And it's the one that arguably makes me smile the most, because everybody's flexing and it's just entertaining to be sitting in the middle of it, and you get to be the one that actually reaps the benefits of everybody flexing.
And honestly, this is such a really great line of proof to start introducing people who have started already exploring their personal whiskey journeys. So, like, if you're getting people who are just starting out, they're in the lower proofs, maybe they're having Old Forester 1910 or Larceny in the 90 proofs, and they're wanting to know a little bit more. This whole lineup, and quite frankly, this whole proof spotlight, it's just a really, really good way to help graduate a person into finding out what they specifically like in their whiskeys. Do they like higher proof? Do they like lower proof? Do they like in the middle? It's all up to them.
And now it's time for this fortnight in whiskey. I've got 4 stories, 2 of them are tied together, so really there's only 3 stories. The first one may be a little bit surprising. Fawn Weaver loses control of Uncle Nearest. Earlier in August, Farm Credit Mid-America, they're in Tennessee, and they've been Nearest Green Distillery's primary creditor, has filed a lawsuit at the beginning of the month. They asked a federal judge to put Nearest Green Distillery under receiver control to ensure that collateral does not go missing. The business has defaulted on more than $100 million in loans. I think it's right around $108 million in loans.
Yikes.
Ouch.
They have accused the whiskey company of providing overinflated barrel inventory reports. They have breached financial covenants, and they're misusing loan funds.
Allegedly.
That's true.
Allegedly.
Nearest Green Distillery's main defense is many of these actions were taken fraudulently by its former chief financial officer, who they have since let go, no longer working for the company.
That's some hot tea there.
The judge has granted the receivership. In the judgment notes, it appreciates the defendant's position, but finds that appointing a receiver is not only prudent but necessary. The court has noted there is not adequate security for Farm Credit's loan, and has stated there is a lack of certainty surrounding Uncle Nearest's solvency. The court also imposed a gag order to ensure the case was not tried in the media. However, immediately after the ruling, Fawn Weaver went out on Instagram posting a clip, "The race is not given to the swift. Easy is never the expectation or the goal."
Let's not make it on social media, guys. Let's not post anything. I'm going to go on Instagram. Let's do this.
The court has suggested co-founders Fawn and Keith Weaver can continue to be publicly involved in the business. By keeping the Weavers involved, they could mitigate potential brand damage.
It is really common whenever these lawsuits happen for big businesses. And I'm sure that Fawn Weaver has stated somewhere at some point in all of this experience, well, I can't really say anything right now. So even though she took to Instagram and said what she said, I think that that's still a really vague comment. And everybody knows you're going through litigation, so keep it cute, keep it quiet, do whatever you got to do. The truth will out.
Yep. So for those of us who aren't litigious, me, I'm raising my hand here, think of a receiver as a financial babysitter. I'm going to break it down to like 5th grade stuff.
Okay.
Okay, I can understand maybe 5th grade stuff unless they
Are
talk
you
in
smarter
slang.
than a 5th grader?
Yeah.
If they're talking about the slang going on these days, I'm dumb.
The company doesn't get to fully run itself. The receiver steps in to protect the lender's money. And what it means for Nearest Green Distillery, the receivership helps keep the business running instead of shutting it down. operations are probably going to be restricted, but a buyer might be able to be found to help keep the distillery alive, and the creditors are protected from losing everything. Assets can be responsibly managed. A receivership can hurt. Ownership has lost control. Uncle Nearest Incorporated won't be calling the shots. It's a red flag to investors. Hey, there's a problem here at this distillery. And the brand certainly could get sold off or even be liquidated if it can't recover.
But for now, it seems like this is almost more of a pause button.
Exactly.
And every bit of control that Uncle Nearest did have, it's been relinquished to a degree to this receiver.
Right. So federal judge Charles E. Atchley appointed Columbia attorney Philip G. Young Jr. of the Thompson Burton law firm as the receiver. Young specializes in bankruptcy law, receivership, creditors' rights, commercial loan workouts, as well as complex commercial litigation. The Weavers have stated they have a preference for Young over a team that was coming out of Texas. And
Okay.
the court chose Mr. Young in part because of his extensive background and his physical proximity to Uncle Nearest's operations. They're only 60 miles away from the facility. And the defendant's representations as to Mr. Young's intent to collaborate. Vaughn and Keith Weaver hope to preserve customer goodwill while fulfilling the receivership's objectives. Vaughn and Keith Weaver may continue to market Uncle Nearest products and manage the Uncle Nearest brand, subject to the receiver's supervision. The court is requiring the receiver to provide quarterly reports both to the lender and to the court, detailing financial activity, operational status, and disbursements of funds. The first of these reports is due here in about a month, October 1st.
This is really not much different than an audit.
Yeah.
It's very similar to an audit, and you've got that auditor looking over your shoulder as you do everything, knowing that every move you make is being watched and is going to be handed over to higher personnel. But as long as they do the right thing here, or are consulting the right individuals to make sure they do the right thing, I think they'll be okay. Maybe I'm naive, but I think they'll be okay.
It sounds more like a slap on the wrist than like a whole, you are going to be canceled.
I mean, it's definitely not a good situation
No.
to be in.
No.
But I come from a career where auditing is something of kind of a norm, and it is almost more about an education to whoever it is that you're auditing, and making sure that when you walk away from it, they're set up for success and that they continue to do the right things to be in compliance, so that their bank doesn't have the same issues with them in the future. I think this is more of a learning opportunity, and as long as they have the financial power right now to stay solvent, it's an education experience. It sucks. It's affronting when you know that you're in the spotlight and other people know that you're going through this, but take it on the chin, keep her moving,
And learn from it.
and learn from it.
Overall, the news story indicates this should be considered a win for the defendants. While they no longer have control over the Nearest Green Empire, the Edie Road property, the intellectual property, bank accounts, and the contracts, it's also protecting them from further litigation claims. The Weavers may continue to market the whiskey and manage the brand identity.
Yeah, they're not being removed from the situation. That would be, if they were being removed and
Could be the
lost
death knell.
all authority, that would be the death note. That's when the bell tolls.
So my next story here, I found it interesting, maybe a little bit odd, but I kept seeing polling results, and I saw it not only in the article I'm going to cite here, but in several other sites and other news media, and I kept thinking, why is this even being out there? So I dug into it. Republicans are driving the U.S. drinking rate to an historic low percentage of 46%.
I have a theory why.
But
I do too.
for such a bold statement to be made, A recent Gallup poll has found that fewer Americans are drinking alcohol than at any other point in the last 9 decades. Most believe moderate drinking is bad for health, which is now the majority view for the first time ever. This year's annual Consumption Habits Survey, conducted by Gallup, was done in July from the 7th to the 21st, so essentially for 2 weeks. The percentage of U.S. adults who say they drink alcohol has fallen to just 54%, the lowest figure in Gallup's nearly 90-year-old trend, down from 62% in 2023. So the historic data from 1997 to 2023, at least 60% of Americans reported drinking. Before this year's poll, the rate had been under 60% fewer than 10 times, including 58 in the initial 1939 poll and a previous low of 55% in 1958. The highest levels came between 1974 and 1981, 68 to 71% of Americans were drinking. Now, the highlighted findings. The drop is sharpest among women, down 11 points to 51%. In men, it's down to 57%. Drinking has fallen 11 points among non-Hispanic white adults, and the data indicates drinking has held steady at around 50% for people of color. Young adults' drinking rate has dropped from 59% in 2023 to just 50%. Now, the political affiliation, those who identified themselves as Republican reported a sharp decline, down 19 points to 46%. I also found it interesting that those that identified as Democrats, their drinking has remained stable at 61%.
Again, I have a theory.
I have a theory.
But
What is that theory?
All right, I'll say it. Tariffs.
Tariffs.
You know what? Tariffs, because a lot of our alcohols are coming from out of the country. So I don't think it's as much as let's drink responsibly, because, you know, we had the Red Ribbon Week in school and people are still doing drugs.
I don't know if I'd say tariffs, although I'd say similar, and I have to take a deep breath before I say it. Red states are not as wealthy as blue ones. That's it. I said it.
Well, that's a fact.
And with raising prices, it makes a lot more sense to me that Democrats and blue states are able to remain stable in their consumption, because the blue states are a little bit more solvent than red ones. Okay, that's the facts.
All right.
Look at the bottom line.
I would also
money.
just throw this out there. As people who've traveled back and forth into and out of Wisconsin, I wonder how their drinking has been affected. Because you wake up in the morning, you're having beer with breakfast, and when you're on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to bed, you set the beer down.
But you can't count Wisconsin though.
All right,
No.
just throw Wisconsin out.
Because Wisconsin,
When we go,
Wisconsin
it's
isn't-
recreational.
Yeah, Wisconsin though isn't allowed to participate in any drinking competition. They automatically win. You set them aside.
stop.
They don't have any you can't include them because they'll skew the data way too far to we are all drunk 24/7. You can't include them in this conversation. Wisconsin, I love you. I've spent a lot of time there, but I'm serious.
Yeah.
So for the first time, there's no evidence of decline to switch to other substances, such as recreational marijuana. It's
Well,
remained,
where's recreational marijuana legal?
Montana, what? Pretty
Yeah.
much every
It's
single
blue
state bordering Idaho.
there you go.
A lot of blue states there, not
Yep.
a lot of red ones.
It's
Montana
remained
is one of
steady
them,
in
though.
use over the past 4 years. And for the first time, a majority of Americans are saying moderate drinking is harmful.
Well, we all know that. It's just more affordability. I'm going to go back to my tariff statement. A lot of alcohol that we get here is imported from out of the country.
Yeah, but Republicans aren't drinking out of country product.
I
Yep.
dare say that they are. They're
I don't think
probably
they are.
shooting vodka.
But vodka's made
be
here
made-
all the time.
Yep.
I don't think that it's a matter of wherever it's coming from. I just think it's a matter of what the price tag is on what they're trying to buy.
Certainly tariffs do have an effect on that, though.
They do.
So moderate drinking, it's defined as 1 or 2 drinks a day. 53% of the people that were polled said drinking is bad for your health. 37% believe it makes no difference, and just 6% say it's good for you.
I mean, to be that bold and be in that 6%,
Yeah,
I commend
and
you
frankly,
for it.
if I'm being polled and I don't feel like being polled, I'm going to give erroneous answers. Anyway, this marks a sharp rise from 28%.
Hold on, though. You stepped ahead of your own statement there. If you were polled,
Yes.
what would you say? Is it bad for your health? Does it make any difference? Or is it good for your health?
I would say that it's not good for your health, but I would also say I don't really think it makes much difference.
I think drinking in moderation doesn't make any difference. As long as you're able to define a line of where you should not cross and still be able to maintain healthy relationships and good financial status,
You're fine.
You're fine.
Perhaps down the line, I guess you could make the argument that it is bad for your health, just like it is bad for you to continuously drink caffeine. Like down the line.
Yeah.
I think it has the same kind of consequences if you're not, like Hannah said, having the alcohol affect your relationships with people or having it affect your direct situation in life with it, whether it's your career or your hobbies. What we always aspire to tell you people and to remind ourselves is to drink responsibly. So if you are going to enjoy having a glass or 2 or 5 if we're all in Wisconsin and it's vacation time, just drink responsibly, don't get behind a wheel, and
Just stay put.
just stay put.
Yeah.
Go on the journey and then come back from it with a level head.
Drink a lot of water.
Drink a lot of water. Water
Hydrate.
is essential for life, people. I'm telling kids left and right, are you drinking your water if they are in marching band? Because 9 times out of 10, they're like, water? And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You need to drink water, people. It's 90 degrees out there. You're going to get heat stroke if you don't.
So young adults are the most likely to see moderate drinking as harmful. Around 2/3 hold this view.
I'm not among them.
Levels are lower among middle-aged and older adults. The demographics, women are more likely than men to see drinking as unhealthy.
Well, that's been the age-old thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Carrie Nation.
60% versus 47% in men. Democrats, 58% say that it's unhealthy. Independents say 55%. But here, only 44% say that it's unhealthy.
That's why
Again,
I
It's just a weird thing.
Well,
Well,
again,
that's
that
why-
harkens back to red states are they
not
don't.
as solvent. That's
Yeah.
what, I mean,
Yeah.
like that whole thing almost is
Proves
evidence
itself.
is evidence of what I was saying, because Democrats drinking is healthier, but if more than half of Democrats are saying that it's unhealthy, it means that Democrats are, these are the risks, I'm being moderate, or however they're being, they're aware of the risks of what they're doing, and they're gonna participate in it anyway because they can. I think Republicans, it's almost the other way, where 44% are saying this, and red states just may not be as solvent to be able to make up for it. I don't know.
Region certainly does have an impact
Yep.
on it.
Yep. Overall, drinkers are cutting back. A record low, 24% said they'd consumed alcohol in the past 24 hours, while 40% had said it has been more than a week.
I've never been among these statistics.
Yeah.
Since the moment I
mean-
turned 21, I have not been among that statistic once.
I think I've gone through dry spells.
The average number of drinks consumed over the past week is now at about 2.8, which is down from 3.8 a year ago.
Well, it is a Sunday, so
Yeah.
while I know I've had 4 bourbons today, I will never matter.
So beer remains the most preferred alcoholic drink among U.S. drinkers.
This makes sense.
It's ahead of liquor at 30% and wine at 29%. Before in 2019, liquor ranked last, but in recent years it has roughly matched the wine popularity.
That also makes sense to
Yep.
me.
Men are more likely than women to choose beer,
This makes
52
sense to
versus 23%. Women are more likely to choose wine,
This makes sense to me.
44% to 14%. And liquor preference is about even. I would guess more men are drinking straight or neat versus women drinking cocktails, but that may not hold true either.
I kind of think that harkens back to one of our very first episodes that we did for these whiskey podcasts is like women in the liquor store.
Yeah.
One of the first things that we're steered towards is the Baileys, is the vodka, or is the cocktail mixers. Whereas a guy, quite frankly, the choices are,
We're left alone.
yeah. And that's more of a cultural
Yeah.
thing rather than, oh, well, this is a very interesting statistic. You got to look at the explanation behind that statistic.
But you know, if women are walking into a liquor store, they know why.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the workers, not to say that this is all of the workers, they may not know. Or the customers even may not know.
So I don't know how many people live in the United States.
We're over 300 million. We're probably
All right.
close to 350.
Aren't we like the third most populated?
So
No.
let's just say
I don't
even
know
close.
anymore.
let's
Not
just say
even
300
close.
million. Okay. I didn't know this until today when I was doing the research for the article. All Gallup polls since the inception poll just over 1,000 people.
Well,
I have
it's just a
no
sample
idea
size.
how you can say 1,000 people
Yeah.
represent 300 million
Well, it's just
people.
a sample size. You're told when you take a statistics
But it-
course, you
but
have to take 10% or less of the population.
But it still doesn't even matter. I mean, my whole master's thesis, a huge crux of it was taking a sample of whatever your demographic is will never be representative of the true population. It cannot be. It will not happen. There's a fault in creating a sample size. You can create the biggest sample size that you want to, but unless you poll every single person and get a genuine answer and not someone like Dad who's giving fake answers for the sake of giving fake answers, you're just not going to get a true representation of what's going on in that location, in that region.
And if you are one of those people that will read articles on observational studies or experiments off of studious websites like JSTOR or any sort of university site, they even have some sort of disclaimer saying like, hey, this sample that we specifically grabbed for this study, for this experiment, isn't really representative of what is actually going on. We could have done X, Y, and Z to help improve our methods in this observational study or this experiment.
So take polls, take experiments, take samples in general with a grain of salt. That's
Yeah.
really important. It's not fact.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's just
fact.
what was being observed from a specific sample size.
Exactly. So my fourth story here, Virginia distillery sales rise by 42%. Now, I have to say here, I am a fan of a Virginia distillery.
My
Yeah,
love
you
for
are.
them has grown. Like it's
You
been
two
it's,
are really a lot more involved in American Single Malt.
it's been a quiet love that I've fostered like a rose that I'm growing in a garden.
So poetic.
I've been tending to it dutifully, and now I'm
You're experiencing it in the blooming stage.
I'm experiencing it in the blooming stage. I had single malt last night from Virginia Distillery
Yeah.
and loved it a lot.
So American Single Malt Producer Virginia Distillery Company, I'm going to refer to them as VDC, has reported an uptick in sales for the first half of 2025. Growth has been fueled by domestic momentum, expanded export distribution, and brewery collaborations. VDC is a founding member of the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission and was one of the most vocal distillers who pressured the Alcohol, Tobacco and Tax and Trade Bureau, the TTB, to recognize American Single Malt as an official style. CEO Garrett Moore said, with the TTB finally recognizing American single malt as a distinct category, consumers are now showing more confidence and curiosity.
It only makes sense. I mean, when you have the Bottle and Bond Act come into play and you had that foundation of this is a legitimate product with legitimate ingredients and legitimate aging techniques, I think that was really a huge part in drawing a new crowd to whiskey in general. So it makes sense now you created a definite label and criteria. Now you're creating a unique, definite world
Exactly.
for people to come into with some realistic expectations.
And can I just say, it's really cool. We've been doing this podcast for 5 seasons, and we've literally seen this in front of our own eyes.
Yep.
American single malt has become its own distinct category right in front of us, and we're bringing you guys along the journey.
Yep.
It's really, really cool.
The VDC portfolio includes their courage and conviction. Frankly, that's how I got involved. As well as their newly introduced American single malt line, featuring core and limited offerings. Their Brewers Coalition, we've had something called Gingerbread Stout.
Yes, and then
It was finished in, their American single malt was finished in beer barrels that had formerly contained gingerbread stout.
and we've had other stout cask finished American single malts. I had that just last night.
And then there's another one out there, Sexual Chocolate, finished in deep, dark porters that have that chocolate element to them. I mean,
That's
wow.
excellent. That's
Yeah.
stellar.
VDC whiskey, they do lots of them in barrel casks. They also have done some Pedro Jimenez wine
That's
glasses.
good stuff too.
And the neat thing is, and I think probably the key driver in their growth, most of their expressions are priced at or around that $50 US bottle.
USD,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
That's
kind of cool.
approachable.
You know, most people are willing to experiment at that price.
Yeah.
Yes, some of them are more expensive, but wow, what a great price. There was one we had, or I have right now, that is called Scotch for Dummies.
Oh
It's
yeah,
an American,
you really like that one.
American
You really
single
love that
malt.
one, yeah.
American single malt finished in bourbon barrels. I mean, come on. What could be bad with that? In addition, this past February, VDC announced the company would be launching contract distilling arm known as American Custom Distilling. So if you wanted to start your own distillery doing American single malt, just go to them. They'll get you set up.
Cool.
We're going to finish up with a couple of bottles for you to consider adding to your bunker, some new bottles for your next whiskey scavenger hunt. Michter's continues its toasted barrel finish series with the launch of the 2025 Michter's US 1 Toasted Barrel Finish Sour Mash.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like a sourdough starter almost?
Kind of.
Or-
That's it, the sour mash is reminiscent of that idea where you have a mash that contributes to the successive mashes of future distillates.
It's a starter.
Yep.
It's a starter.
And they do have some sour mash whiskey that is not toasted as well. So you can try both. Back in 2014, the Michter's team did not realize they were putting toasted uncharred barrel finish category on the map. It was then that they realized the bourbon finished in a second barrel, which was toasted but not char. They began to name it Toasted Barrel Finish Bourbon. Some of those have been amazing.
Yeah, they're
just-
really nice.
Just amazing.
They're
Don't
really
we
nice.
have
They're,
one earlier?
We
Yeah.
do, or we did. There's a lot of products labeled toasted.
Yep.
Elijah Craig has a toasted. Michter's has that toasted.
Knob Creek
Knob
has a
Creek has a toasted. And I think that Michter's really, they might do it best out of the toasted lineup.
In 2025, the Michter's Toasted Barrel Finish Sour Mash Whiskey follows the releases of the Toasted Barrel Finish Bourbon and their Toasted Barrel Finish Rye.
Which we've not had.
Yeah. Distiller tasting notes on this guy. Sour Mash Whiskey has attributes of a really good bourbon,
Okay, cool.
yet it finishes a bit like a rye. The second toasted barrel complements the flavors of the sour mash. On the palate, citrus, spice notes, rich honey, burnt sugar, with a cozy campfire smoke and vanilla.
Sounds lovely.
At least
but
they
we'll
keep
see.
it simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
ABV is 43%, 86 proof, which I think is the same as their sour mash bottle. And MSRP a little bit steep at 110 per the 750 milliliter bottle. Again, it's an experimental thing, limited release. I think that's going to be our norm going forward. My next bottle, Remus Repeal Reserve Series 9, launches in tribute to Prohibition's end. We've had a couple of these. They're generally pretty good. Remus Bourbon offers another limited edition inspired by the roaring spirit of the Prohibition. Remus Repeal Reserve Series 9 Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's an annual release, and it's from MGP's Ross and Squibb Distillery in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Remus Repeal Reserve, a vital stat. It's a medley of 4 high rye bourbons aged between 10 and 18 years. 7% is coming from an 18-year-old bourbon containing 21% rye. 26% is coming from an 11-year-old aged bourbon comprised of 36% rye. 23% of it's coming from a 10-year-old aged bourbon containing another 36% rye. And lastly, and the bulk of it, is 44% in a second 10-year-old aged bourbon comprising 21% rye. That's a lot of rye.
It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of rye. 52% ABV, 104 proof, non-chill filtered, and at $100 a bottle.
That price point has stayed pretty consistent for the Remus Repeal
Yeah.
Reserve
Yeah.
over the years. It hasn't fluctuated too much. It's related to that old Ezra that we had a little bit earlier. They come kind of from the same family.
Different distilleries. but
Different
from-
distillery, but it's the same family.
Yep.
And
I'll look for it.
I'll look for it.
Distiller profile notes on the nose, subtle tobacco, ripe sweet cherry, seasoned oak, and leather. I kind of like that nose of tobacco and cherry. Palate, cherry roasted coffee and a touch of smoky spice with a finish of cherry, spice, and coffee notes.
That sounds
Interesting.
mature.
Yeah.
That sounds mature.
Well, look at all those age on those bottles.
Yeah.
These are just a couple of the latest releases, and as always, to learn more about these and many more offerings, as well as other news stories, go to the Whiskey for the Ages episode archive page on our website. There you'll find links to all of our episodes, their corresponding news pages, as well as citations for the reporting news sources. Girls, that's the episode.
I really liked it.
Laura, you finished all 4
I
of
did.
yours.
And I am kind of
Do you,
sad.
do you have a favorite?
Man, I love Old Forester. I truly do. But I was just impressed with how the Knob Creek finished everything. And I'm even impressed with the Old Ezra. So I think they're all, honestly, competing on a very same level. I've got a personal attachment to Old Forester. But in terms of new, the Old Ezra impressed me.
Yeah.
Like,
a
genuinely,
sleeper.
because I wasn't too enthusiastic about the nose. I was thinking, oh god, here's another nutty one. And I'm not fond of the nutty ones. I like fruity, I like sweet, I like baking elements. Honestly, and the palate on that one, I was really, really impressed. And the fact that all 4 of these are in a price range that I wouldn't have much problem spending, it says a lot.
Yeah. And Dad, you left a few for last. Does that reflect anything for where
I have
you
to
come
say-
out on top with some of these?
I have to say that the Knob Creek is good, borderlining on great, but it's not my favorite.
So,
I just took a last sip of what was left in my Old Ezra, and now I'm finishing with the Old Forester. Old Forester's an old friend.
It is.
I can sit down at any time if somebody pours me an Old Forester.
We're friends.
I can just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's not pretentious.
She's that friend you gossip with. at work. You know, she's the one that just has your back 100% of the time. Yeah.
It's just good.
Yeah.
Back and forth, old Ezra, old Forrester.
Old.
Old. It's hard. And then I have just a sip of the cask strength Maker's Mark left. And it might have been my very first high proof whiskey.
Because it's right there. It's recognizable. It's
Learning,
familiar.
and I was learning at that time.
Yeah.
And I thought that wheat was my jam.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that they think.
It's important to challenge whatever it is that you think.
Yeah.
Today, at this moment in time, you're putting me on the spot, 1920. Tomorrow, I will probably reach for the old Ezra.
You know, it's funny you say that because I've finished all of my 4 like Alora did as well. And then lucky for me, I'm actually the one tonight sitting by all of the bottles. So they're looking me in the face and going, pick me, pick me, pick me. I did pick somebody to pour a little bit more for, and I picked the old Ezra tonight. That one to me just settles deep in the bones, felt right. That's where I wanted to be. But I know my heart still belongs to, you know, old Ezra's kind of a fling. my one true love is going to be that old Forester out of these 4.
Yeah.
But old Ezra's going to be a forever fling. And then Maker's Mark Cask Strength would probably be my number 3 out of the bunch. I love that Knob Creek, but that one's the one, like if I'm using that office analogy again, that one's the one where, you know, there are secrets in her hair and she'll be willing to spread them whenever to whoever.
I almost think
it's fun that way, but it's also daunting that way.
I almost think that if I have an option to choose the Knob Creek, or if I have an option to choose something at a higher proof, I will grab the higher proof.
It really depends
because
on
my mood
that's
that
it.
day.
That's it.
Because why?
Yeah, because the Knob Creek is great as an introduction to the really, really big boys, but once you meet the big boys, you don't really need the Knob Creek single barrel 9-year anymore.
It's good.
It's good.
Borderlining on great, like I
but
said.
it serves a purpose. And once the purpose is served, you're on to bigger and better things. But I think that we've really done a good job tonight showing the versatility of this proof range. It's a really important proof range. It's a really fun proof range. And if you haven't experienced it already and played around with it, go out there and do it. We've already shown that they're not too far into the breaking the bank category. They're accessible as well. The old Ezra might be a little bit trickier to get your hands on, but these other 3 are mainstays in any liquor store that you walk into.
I'd love to hear people give us feedback on these.
I'm sure we're going to get a lot
Please do,
anyway from the
guys.
comments that I've made tonight, but you know, we'll move. We'll carry on either way. But this is a really good range. It's a really quality range, and it really is the range, I think, where a lot of distilleries are able to strut their stuff and show their story the way they want to without being impacted by the number of barrels or bottles and product that actually gets put out on the shelves in the future. This is something where craftsmanship is really key. And it's for the sake purely of craftsmanship, not to be prolific and not to be over the top with something exceptionally high proof. This is that balance. Experience the balance, love the balance.
So Hannah, what's coming up?
We got a lot of things coming up. We're not even halfway through our season yet, and it's already been a really great season. Next episode is going to be the distillery spotlight.
Or maybe a review.
Or maybe a review. But whenever that distillery spotlight comes up, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to be in the captain's chair for that one. That's my episode. I think I already have an idea of which one it's going to be, but we'll see if I change my mind, as I am wont to do. We are going to have more whiskey reviews regardless. We'll have a mid-season review there where it won't be a bourbon. It'll be something unique. It'll be really exciting. We already have our guest planned up. You guys don't even know what's coming for you. It's going to be super interesting, and the three of us are going to look very dumb. And I'm actually kind of excited for it because it means I get to learn something, and hopefully that will mean that you get to learn something with us.
I'm going to give you guys a hint about it. Watch our episodes for this season because we've discussed an element of this that
That was good. That was good.
we've discussed certain elements of it.
Clever.
We've been feeding.
Yeah.
We've been feeding.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely we have. And then we're going to be doing another archaeology episode. Again, you can expect me to be in the captain's chair for that one. We've got another history episode planned out. Gonna kick my heels back and put my heels up on the
What do you
desk
think
and
about
enjoy.
whiskey in the Civil War?
That could be fun.
I think that's a tumultuous, exciting time. I mean, like
A rapid 5 years.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's literally a time capsule.
Already giving a spoiler to that?
I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about.
Well,
Very
perhaps we'll see
interesting.
it in this
You got
season.
everything
Absolutely.
from
There's chaos. It's
liquid
just
courage
chaos.
to medicinal use.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's complete chaos from start to finish. So that would be interesting if we got to see that. And then, of course, we've got some tips and tricks that we're going to be continuing to share with you guys
All the way along.
all the
Yeah.
way along.
Maybe
I mean,
not
I
an
think we've-
episode, but we sneak them in.
I know we have this episode, especially with how to nose a glass and how we go about sipping a glass. So we'll have more of those sneaks coming in for sure.
Absolutely. So please be sure to send us your comments and subscribe to the show. You guys will get updated notifications. You guys help us move us up in Google rankings. And then you also just have some amazing ideas for what we can do for future content. We love to hear from you. Certainly a lot of things that we said hopefully will prompt conversation.
That's the
So,
whole idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're truly appreciative of the people who do listen to us. We know our episodes run long. We love talking. We love commiserating. And we love involving you in the conversation. And we hope that when you guys sit down to listen to us, you have a glass of your own and you get to feel a little bit of the camaraderie and the community that we're trying to build here as well.
And so ends another episode. And we hope that everyone joins us for our next.
It'll be a good one.
So as we end every episode, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.